Hi, welcome to Serendipity. My name is Sar, and today I'm going to be propagating some more fig cuttings from Figaholics and giving you guys a little haul along with a new technique that I'm using. Previously, I've tried using the cup method and I've gotten pretty good success rates with that one. I tried using 3 different mediums the last time I filmed a video like this, and if I haven't already, I will do a more detailed update on what I thought about each medium. But today I'm actually going to use something completely different. So let's get started. I'm going to begin by doing the haul first. So I received my package a little over a week ago, and I actually went out of town, so I wasn't able to propagate them right away. I've had them in the fridge. The varieties that I chose were based off a list from Enlightenment Garden. I can never say the word properly here on YouTube. I believe the creator's name is Natasha. I might be wrong. But she lives in Arizona as well, in Phoenix, and she's tried so many different varieties and she has been able to narrow it down to her top 15. So I tried to pick up as many of those as I possibly could. I trust her. She knows a lot about plants, a lot about trees, and I'm excited for all of these. And also, in my last video, I mentioned that I'm drawn towards the figs that they say taste like berries or strawberry, more than the ones that taste sugary or honey like. She is the same way, and so I trusted her list. And so I feel like I'm not going to be disappointed from anything that she recommended. So the first ones that I picked up were the Marseilles. And okay, hold on. Also, if I say these wrong, I'm so sorry, you guys. I have trouble speaking as is, so this might be a little bit difficult for me. But Marseilles Black, yes. On Figaholics, I thought it was sold out. It showed as being sold out. Because this was more towards the top of Natasha's list, I went on Figaholics and I found some cuttings in the buy it now category. And so I bought like 4 more of these. And then when my shipment came in, I saw them and I was like, what? So I have a ton of Marseilles Black and I'm going to propagate all of them. Some of them I already have propagated. And I'm going to keep most of them, but I might give a few away to friends and family. So anyways, I picked up 2 of those. I picked up 1 red Lebanese. And honestly, these fig cuttings are really nice and thick, and they look amazing. They look better than any of the other cuttings that I bought online from Figbid and Etsy. Although I will say the ones on Figbid also look pretty good as well. So I think the ones from Figaholics look the best so far, and then Figbid, and then Etsy. Next is Bourjasotte Grise. Bourjasotte Grise. I picked up 1 of these. 1 Black Greek Unknown Marius. 1 Yellow Long Neck. 1 Martinenca Rimada. 1 Figo Preto. 1 Genovese Nero AF. 1 Pastiliere. Am I saying that wrong? I'm pronouncing literally every letter. Pastiliere. In Spanish, it reads as Pastiliere. In English, I don't know. And then 2 Socorro Black. So they are all labeled and they are wrapped in saran wrap. So I'm gonna start opening them up. And I'm gonna talk to you guys as I do this. So the last time that I propagated fig cuttings, I did them in little solo cups. And it worked very well. I got very good success rates with it. However, I feel like it's just a lot of work and a lot more trouble because first of all, they're a lot bulkier, so they take up more space. And second of all, if you're like me and you tend to overwater everything, fig trees and fig cuttings specifically don't like to be really wet. You just need the medium to be damp, and I had a lot of trouble with that, you guys. I kept wanting to water them, and whenever my kids got around them, if you guys saw one of my last videos, my son actually started pouring a ton of water on them when I wasn't looking. And since then, I've tried the fig pot method, and I am in love with the fig pot method. I started some at the end of January, and they're already they're already starting to have swollen buds, and I haven't had to water them once. I haven't messed with them. I feel like knowing that they're in the fake pot makes me not want to touch them or not mess with them. When the cups, I'm always picking them up, looking at them, like checking the checking the medium, and then adding water, and then freaking out that I added too much water. So from now on, I'm only going to use the fake pot method, and I'll show you guys how I do that. By the way, since I'm working inside, you guys are gonna hear my kids in the background. But for this, I bought 100 6x10 4 ml plastic bags from Amazon. I think Natasha uses longer bags, but I feel like these work just as well. And it's already spring here in Arizona, so I feel like they're gonna root very quickly. And if I was starting this earlier, I might opt for bigger bags, but I feel like these are just the perfect size. So the first ones I'm gonna work on are Socorro Black. Here is a closer look at the cuttings. Look at that, you guys. They have so many buds. This is insane. I know some people might cut their cuttings in half just so they have, you know, better chances at getting one of them to take root, but I'm just gonna leave them whole. I'm pretty confident that they're gonna root. So I'm going to start off by writing the name on my plastic bags. Socorro Black. Is that it? And then at the very top, it has some numbers. Like this one says 301-50. I don't know what that means. Maybe that was just their, you know, categorization method. But I'm also going to date them. So 2, 4. And then I like to write down what medium I use. So for these, I'm actually using 70% perlite and 30% peat moss. 70% peat, 30% perlite. And just like the last video, I'm gonna do a lot of the same things. I'm going to wrap my cuttings in Parafilm, and I'm also going to dip them in rooting hormone. However, one thing I'm going to do differently is I'm not going to scrape the sides. I'm actually just going to make slits. The reason for that is because I feel like scraping the sides isn't absolutely necessary. I think just making slits is enough. I did that with the last fig pop cuttings that I propagated, and they're looking pretty good. Literally all of them are starting to bud out. Now the real question is, are they going to root? Are they going to start rooting soon? So the medium that I'm going to use is a mixture of 70% perlite, 30% peat moss. And I added enough water so that I can form it into a ball, but there's no moisture coming out. You don't want it to be too wet. And remember that peat moss does hold a lot of moisture as is. But the perlite helps to aerate this medium. So I'm gonna start filling up my bags. Whoa. Trying not to make a mess. In my last video, I had tried sand, and potting mix, and then potting mix alone. And although I got pretty good success rates, I feel like some did better with rooting, others did better with leafing. And then the mixture that I thought would perform the best actually only had about a 50% success rate, which I was really surprised by. And this mixture, I've noticed with the other fake pop cuttings that I've already propagated, is it started showing signs of life in my cuttings way quicker, and it hasn't dried out, and I feel like it's just overall a lot better. Look, I'm gonna dip it into my rooting hormone. I know you're not supposed to do that. I know that. But I have no other paper cups to use and I don't want to use my dishes. I don't want to get anything else dirty. So what I'm gonna do here is I'm going to cut right above this node. I feel like that's cutting off so much though. I mean, I guess I could cut right here. So I'm gonna cut the bottom, and then I'm just going to do maybe like three slits. Let's do 4. And I'm gonna do 4 slits like that. I'm going to dip it into my rooting hormone. And then I'm going to set it aside. Oh, I messed up already, you guys. I should have wrapped it in Parafilm first. That way I don't get the rooting hormone all over me. Okay, let's do this the right way. So first things first, I'm gonna stick about this much in there. First things first, I'm going to start wrapping it in parafilm. This is one of the things that I feel is essential to rooting fig cuttings, is using parafilm. I know a lot of people create their own humidity domes. If it works for them, great, but I just feel like I don't have a space for a bulky humidity dome. And this is enough to trap in moisture so that your cuttings don't dry out. And the first time that I propagated fig cuttings, out of the ones that failed, all of the ones that didn't leaf out or root didn't have parafilm. So I think that's saying something. Now, I'm just going to stick these in. Up to there. So the last thing I do is I just take a rubber band and then I just tie it. Sometimes I tie it twice just to make sure it's secure. And there you go. Lastly, I take a little toothpick and I poke about 15 plus holes in the bag. I didn't count them this time, but typically I count about 15 holes. This is just so that it can actually breathe. Once you poke your holes, you're done. That's it. You've got your fig cutting ready to go. And because they're in this type of vessel, it's so much easier to stack them. You can fit them pretty much anywhere and it works amazing, you guys. So that's pretty much all you have to do, honestly. After I realized this, I felt like I spent so much more time doing it in the cups, and I think if you're more experienced, maybe using the cups is easier for you, but if you're like me and you've never done this before, this is just a lot less work and it takes almost no time at all. So next I'm going to go in with Pastelier. Everybody does their fig cuttings differently, and I try to take methods from a lot of different people. So Ben B. Seattle, I believe is his name. He uses the fig pot method. Natasha uses the fig pot method. And then there's other people like Mike Kincaid, I believe is how you, guys, I'm horrible with names. But he does it more like in pots where he doesn't really disturb them. He most of the time does it outside. And that's what I tried doing with my first set of fig cuttings. However, I didn't realize that doing it outside during winter in Arizona was not a good idea, because there was literally nothing happening for all of December. I would check on them every single day, sometimes several times a day, and I saw no roots, no green growth. For a while, I thought I had just failed. I was like, oh man, they made it look so easy on YouTube. Well, nothing's happening. I wasted all my money on these cuttings. And then as soon as I brought them inside and put them in my garage, things just got a lot easier. And I realized, you know, regular fig trees are dormant. My cuttings are not really going to do anything outside. And if there is any growth, it's going to be very minimal because it's too cold for them. They're dormant right now, you know? But as I watch more of Mike's videos in particular, I realized that he uses different methods at different times of the year. So maybe he will start some outside, but maybe that's in early spring versus winter time like I was trying to do. So now that it's spring here in Arizona, I might have more success doing them outside, but I feel like I'm more comfortable starting them inside only because our weather is very unusual. Like, we're in the beginning of February and outside it's already very hot. Like today I was out in the garden building trellises and putting up stakes for my tomatoes, and I was sweating like crazy, you guys. I wound up getting a sunburn. And this is barely February. That's insane. In other places of the world, it's still snowing. And here, it already feels like spring. If I were to start mine outside, I'm scared they're just gonna cook. Yesterday, I think we were at 80 degrees outside. Okay, so I should point out these fig cuttings from Figaholics, Harvey from Figaholics, are huge. Like, look at this. The other ones that I started were still covered by the bag. So maybe if your cuttings are really long, maybe you would want to go with a longer size. But Because I have also covered mine in Parafilm, I feel like I'm gonna be okay. Okay. Let's see here. Okay. The reason I decided to use peat moss and perlite versus using peat moss and things like compost or regular potting mix is because I had heard a lot of people talking about how you want an what is the word? Inert, right? Inert medium so that it doesn't start decaying, or so that it doesn't start decaying your cuttings. And although I had a pretty good success rate with some of my other cuttings, with the first set of cuttings that I did, I wonder if using compost kind of hindered their progress. And since using the fig pot method, I haven't noticed that with any of the other fig pot propagations that I've done. They've all taken really well. I still need to take into consideration how long they take to root, but even just to show signs of like leafing out, they're doing amazing. And I have noticed that sometimes fig cuttings might leaf out first, but they root, or at least most of the time, they root soon afterwards. So within like a few days, you're gonna start to see some roots. Today's kind of cool because today's the first day that I took my fig cuttings outside. Some of them have several leaves now, and the leaves are getting bigger every single day. It's insane. Another thing is that previously I had stuck to using Vermiculite instead of Perlite. And this time around, I placed a large order from Greenhouse Megastore, and I bought a 4 cubic foot bag of Perlite specifically for my cuttings because it helps to aerate them, right? It's really good for aeration, whereas Vermiculite is really good for water retention. And because the peat moss, where's the cutting at? Hold on, Genovese Nero. Oh, where did I put it? Oh no. And because the peat moss already holds so much moisture, I feel like I don't want the peat moss to hold moisture and then the Vermiculite to hold more moisture because I don't want them to rot. And the Perlite holds some moisture, but it helps to really just aerate them so that they can actually breathe and develop proper rooting systems. Oh, by the way, if I didn't show this, this is my little bottle of alcohol. I used it before I started this and I must have done it off camera, but I like to make sure I sanitize my pruners before my propagations. Oh, something else that I wanted to mention is I know a lot of people like to wash their cuttings first and they'll sanitize them in a mixture of like bleach. I think that's the most common one that I've seen is a solution of bleach or soap and water, and then they let them dry for a few hours. I haven't done that with any of my cuttings, and so far I've had pretty good success rates. I'm really excited for this year, you guys. I feel like this is the first year that I actually got a head start on my garden. Like I have trees propagating, I have trees already leafing out, I have my orchard, my little backyard orchard almost complete. I'm only missing one tree. So aside from my fig trees, I feel like that's a whole other category because since I'm starting them from cuttings, I'm able to grow them in smaller bags, and I want to continue to grow my collection just because I love having different varieties of things. Like I love being able to try different fruit, and I know that they're all figs, but each of them has their own unique taste. I recently picked up several citrus trees. In total, I have, in total, I have 5 citrus trees in my backyard, and I'm so excited. I'm so excited. I have 5 citrus trees, 2 apple trees, 1 plum, 1 pear, 1 pineapple guava, and my last tree that I'm missing is a Mexican cream guava. I've heard that fruit just tastes amazing. People are obsessed with it, and I love guava, or my family always called it guayaba. I love it so much, and they're pretty, I feel like they're pretty expensive at the store. And because I have a limited space in my backyard, I'm very selective with the trees that I put back there. And I have one last spot for a fruit tree, aside from my fig trees. And it's the Mexican cream or Mexican white guayaba. If you guys live in Arizona and you guys know where I can find one, let me know. Natasha from Enlightenment Garden was also on the lookout for one. And I don't know how long it took hers to find one, but she found one at a Lowe's, I believe. I need to get my hands on one. And I hope I find one this year, because seriously, I will not fill that space up with anything else. I'm waiting for my Mexican guava tree. I'll show you guys all of the trees in a future video. I'm really excited, you guys. When I first designed the backyard, we had only planned to have 2 trees, a bear's lime tree and a mandarin tree, a clementine. And my husband kept asking me, like, are you sure you don't want any more trees? And I kept saying no, and now I have 12, not including all of my fig trees that I'm going to have. I just realized that fruit is very expensive, and we don't buy a lot of it because I feel like because there's a lot of us, you know? So it adds up really quickly, and especially when you're buying it by the pound. So fruit is more like a treat, and I feel like by growing it myself, not only do I get to try cool different varieties that you wouldn't find at the store very easily, but we get to have it whenever we want, you know? Fruit trees aren't super inexpensive. They are an investment, and it does take years before you get fruit, but once you start getting fruit, they're so worth it. You won't ever have to buy fruit at the store again unless you want to. And because my kids are obsessed with fruit, I can't wait to grow pretty much every single one of their favorites in our little backyard. And I think what's very different from my backyard orchard compared to others is that none of my trees are in ground. All of my trees are in 30-gallon grow bags. Let me see, Figo Preto, which I know is not something that you see very often. And the reason for that is because our backyard was nothing but weeds and dirt last year. And my husband and I sat down and we designed how we wanted our backyard to be. And we wound up putting turf in half of our backyard, and we paid a lot of money for it. And I didn't set aside any area for trees because I didn't think I wanted trees. And it wasn't until recently that I realized that I really wanted to add fruit trees to our little garden, but now it's too late. Like I could, I guess the turf isn't permanent, but it was really pricey, and since we just put it in last year, I don't see myself, you know, cutting out any portion of it to add trees. So in order to work around that, I've just been planting my trees in grow bags. And the only thing with that is that I have to make sure that I keep them properly pruned. Because their root systems are not going to get as extensive, I can, you know, of course, place them closer to the house, but also I get to plant way more because their roots aren't taking up, you know, all the space. So if you guys have a small backyard too, you guys might want to consider growing your trees either in pots or grow bags. I chose grow bags because they were a lot more affordable, and in the future, like if one of them starts breaking down, they're easily replaceable. But if I ever change my mind, I can, you know, at that point move on to pots. But for right now, I'm very pleased and happy with the way grow bags are performing. And I buy mine off of Amazon. Do you guys have a lot of acreage or land to be able to grow, you know, your orchard? I feel like especially if you live in an urban area, it's really hard to plant trees because the yards just seem to be getting smaller and smaller every single year. So with this house, our yard it's not super tiny, but it's not huge either. It's like an okay size, and I feel like we've been able to make the most of it. We've filled it up pretty good and sort of divided up different sections of it so it feels a lot larger than it actually is. Our first house that we bought had 0 yard. We only had yeah, we only had enough space to put our garbage cans behind our house, and that was it. We first purchased the townhouse, and when we bought this one of our requirements was to have a yard so that our kids could play and so that I could eventually start a garden. I want you guys to tell me if you guys want to buying any cuttings from Harvey, Figaholics. Let me know which ones you got and which ones do good in your area. Even after I purchased mine, I kept going through pretty much every single day and checking to see which ones were sold out, because I was just interested. You know, I kept reading the summaries of every single one of them. And is it weird that I'm propagating this many cuttings and I've never tasted a fig before? I feel like I'm obsessed with them based off what other people have said about them. You know, people say that figs just taste so incredible, so I'm like, okay, I feel like I really need to get my hands on these trees then. And also propagating them from a cutting is so much more rewarding. Like when I've gone to my local, hold on, Yellowneck, and this is Martinenca Rimada. Okay, when I've gone to, let's say like Lowe's or Home Depot, it's pretty cool seeing the fig trees because they're so small and they're already producing figs. And buying one and being able to plant it feels amazing. Like, you know, it's just a really good feeling whenever you plant anything. But being able to propagate them, watch them develop roots, see their first set of leaves, and then watch them grow into a tree is on a whole other level. I feel like the day that we get to taste fruit from these trees is just gonna be so cool, so amazing. And what I'm most excited about is having my kids try them, because with our garden right now, we haven't been able to try any fruit, but we do go out there and harvest vegetables all the time. And everything from kale, spinach, peas. Their favorite thing right now is sugar snap peas and giant Oregon snow peas. I have several plants and they fight over them. They keep them picked clean. Every single day we go out them and we look for peas together. And when we finally start being able to harvest fruit, it's gonna be so amazing. If you guys have a favorite fig, let me know what it is. Let me know what it is and what it tastes like to you. And these videos I like filming not only because I know that there's like a whole fig community where, you know, it's just interesting and it's fun to see people propagating fig cuttings. But it's also really cool to see them like give updates on how they fruit. Like, I think that's just so amazing. And I like filming these videos even when I feel like nobody's watching, only because as my garden progresses, I can look back and see where it all started. You know, like if all of these trees take root, I'll be able to look back and see what they look like. Like they just look like a little stick, you know? And it'll make it so much cooler. And just, I don't know. I feel like I can't even explain how amazing that's going to feel. For example, I started my garden last year. I think the first time I actually sowed anything was in August, right before I gave birth. And looking back and seeing what it looked like then versus now is insane. It does not look like the same garden. It doesn't look like the same yard. It's incredible how much can transform in a few months. So I don't even have like a 1-year anniversary with my garden yet, and it's already looking so much more different. So I can't wait to see what these figs look like 1 year from now, because I know that they grow really quickly. And for our climate especially, I feel like they might do really good because we have really hot, dry, you know, climate. And I've heard that figs tend to perform really well here. I was really impressed by Harvey's prices. I mean, some of them I think were even at like $5. And then the highest one I think was either 25 or 30 from the ones that I bought. But if I'm able to find my slip, I'll go ahead and insert the prices on the screen just so you guys can have an idea of what I paid for these. But if in the future I'm looking for another variety that's not really common and a little bit more difficult to find, I'll probably wait for Harvey's sale because I think it's just an amazing price, especially if you buy several of them at once. Like for all of these cuttings, I just have to pay $12 for shipping, which is really inexpensive, I think. One thing, I don't know if I ever finished telling you guys this earlier, but I'm very excited for my grow pot orchard because I feel like I haven't seen that really on YouTube. Well, no, that's a lie. Another person that I've seen that grow a lot of fig trees in grow pots is Ross Roddy. It was really encouraging to see him grow so many different fig varieties in grow pots because it made me feel like, okay, it's definitely doable. Especially if you don't have, you know, room to put them in the ground because fig trees can get really enormous. And having them in grow pots keeps them a little bit more manageable. So I'm so excited, you guys. And the fact that I have every single tree in a grow bag, I think it's pretty unique, you know? I don't know, maybe that's just me. The last one is the red Lebanese. All right, there we go. Last one, you guys. Hope my camera's still filming. There you go. So as soon as I seal this off, I just need to tidy up. Oh no, wait, I need to poke the holes. I almost forgot. Imagine if I lost all these cuttings because I forgot to do that. And we're done. All of my fig pop cuttings are ready to go. So at this point, all I will do is just put them in my garage and wait for them to start leafing out or producing roots. And in a few weeks, I'll film another video showing you guys an update on what's been going on. Hopefully within the next 2 weeks, but we'll see. So thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate you guys being here. I hope you guys enjoyed this video and I'll see you in the next one. Bye guys. And if you stayed until the very end, I'll show you guys what my other fig pop cuttings look like. So let's go do that right now. We are currently in my garage inside my grow tent and I wanted to show you guys the other fig pops that I've started. So I started this one, this is Martinenca Black, on the 21st of January. And if we take a look inside, can you guys see that's starting to leaf out? I don't see any roots yet, but I'm sure they're gonna come in pretty soon. And the same goes with every other cutting. Look at that. Most of these I started on the 21st, and as you can see there's a lot of green buds. There's that one there. I got 100% success rate with all of these. And one of them I started on, oh, you know what? And this one, I actually started on the 25th. And look at that. Can you guys see all of that green? Yeah, you guys, so this method is amazing. The rest of these were all on the 21st. Look at that. This is the last one, and even that one has some green right there. I saw growth a lot faster with this method, and I haven't had to water them once. You can still see the moisture in there. They have holes so they're able to breathe still, but I don't have to mess with them, which is great because otherwise I mess with them too much. But if you guys haven't already tried this method, I suggest that you do. These are some of my other cuttings, and as you guys can see, I feel like they have to catch up with the ones in the fig pop method bags. They're just doing okay, but the ones in the bags are doing amazing. So yeah, I cannot wait to see the progress of the other cuttings that I started propagating today. So once again, thank you so much for watching.